my name's Simon Pickard.
And I'm David Pickard.
And the model that we've got here we're calling Outpost 6987, which is a set number of a Blacktron space station, which inspired what we've chosen to build, which is all around the Blacktron theme. It's also a collaborative build between me and my father, which we've been doing for several years now. Our hope is to actually expand it out, so it's only the beginning of a much, much bigger project.
It's funny you should say that, because it's massive as it is.
Yeah.
It's what you see here is 60 boards, and then the extension that you're going to look at in a little bit is another 15 boards, which makes 75 altogether. But we plan to make it 600 boards all told. So whether we'll be around long enough to finish it or not, we don't know.
Would it be easier to go to another planet? Or
That might have been the case, yes.
Okay, so what do we see here then?
Well, the Blacktron theme is obviously the inspiration for it, so all of the vehicles have to follow a very strict colour code, which is iconic for that theme. And we've built a range of ships. So the one you're looking at the moment is what we refer to as a short-range interceptor. And the Blacktron space station was known as an intercept base, a message intercept base, and it had a little flying aircraft, which this one is considered sort of, the advanced developed version since. And the other equipment obviously is then inspired by the colour schemes to go with that and expand on the station. There was a little four-wheeled vehicle part of that original set as well, which you'll see further down the model. We've got a four-wheeled buggy driving around, and we've got larger spaceships. At the moment we've only got the one large one, but we do have 3 of them built, which later we'll have them in the hangar base behind the doors, and we'll have one hopefully up in the air actually flying to create some of the life to the model. And my father was actually responsible for the lighting. I've never actually lit my models before.
No, I was just going to say that the lighting looks quite impressive, and like very as you'd expect in a sci-fi sort of kind of way.
Yeah, well, the ones underneath the runway, they're actually called life lights, so they come from America. So the challenge was getting the lights to pulse in an even way. So each light on either side of the runway is done as a pair, but the actual flashing function comes within the processor, within the light function provided by life lights. Right. The static lights are just static, obviously, but we don't just use life lights. When you come around to the other side and you see them lit, we're just using simple garden lights. You can use anything as long as it's an LED light, it doesn't generate heat. You can use anything to light the models, but they do bring them to life.
Is that the buggy you were mentioning just now?
Yes, yeah, that was a collaboration between Simon, my son, and Jeremiah, my grandson.
So it's really a family affair,
yes,
then, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm looking at the trees. I mean, the pieces are quite unusual. They look like spines.
Yes, they are bionicle spines, also sometimes called seaweed, and there's nearly 100 on each of the full-size trees. There's over 200 pieces needed to make one tree.
Wow. And did they come in these colours, or did you have to color them?
No. Everything we use is genuine Lego. We don't. Because
that one looked like a smoky blue colour. It looked really unusual.
Yeah. The black and the blue are quite rare, as indeed is the I can't remember the colour. It's a greyish colour. There's some also glow in the dark ones. Those particular colours are quite rare, so we won't make much on those.
So you've got a mech over here.
Yes, that was Simon originally built a replica of the mech from the film Alien, which you can see it on display in this show at the moment. And basically, having done that, he then thought it might translate. So he built one in the Blacktron colours, which I think looks quite good.
It does look quite good.
And then I built the rest. Typically, that's how our build works. Simon's the one with all the artistic flair and the inspiration. So he'll design something, and then I will then replicate it, just copy it and make up as many as we need.
I see.
That doesn't quite do it justice though, because I've been training him up, and the landscaping side of it, the vast majority of the cliff face has been done by my father. Once I showed him the primary technique, which you can see now, which is just building up of various slopes, we were able to move on a little bit, and as you pan round you see a crevice which my father wanted to build, And when he started it, he was just using the same technique I'd showed him. So I actually told him to hold off and showed him how to do it, where you turn the bricks 90 degrees and spill sideways.
Yes,
and
I could see that.
a much nicer range of shapes that you could get. So having shown that, my dad has then gone on and done that. So he's right. I design all of the ships and all of the equipment and things, and the vast majority of what he's doing is copying that. But he's still developing and coming up with the flair and artistic things that you've seen. So he's got some value in artistic areas too.
Shall we go around the back? The doors.
The other member of the team.
Oh yes, my son's just turned up. So he's the one that helped build the buggy.
So you told me the doors don't open, do they?
So the doors don't open at the moment. I mean, they can be manually pushed fully open if we wanted to, but the plan is to motorise one of them so that you can see them opening and closing on the model. But as we said, this is only a small part of a much bigger project, and this is the beginning of the hangar bays. And we'll have 3 hangar bays that are big enough to hold the largest of the spaceships, and we'll have various repair crews working on one and other things going on.
So there's the additional mechs.
Yes, that's right. There's got the different charging bays for the mechs. Eventually we're actually going to be building on top of this, so there'll be a monorail running above it. We have some monorail stations. We've also got a medical bay which is finished but isn't buried into the mountain yet, so there's lots to sort of expand on already.
This is ambitious
It's
stuff,
a very ambitious project, although those who know me well know that it's not beyond what I normally do anyway. I've built several very large historical models using cliff faces and things before, and because we're not planning on finishing it overnight, it'll be a nice progression thing. So we'll be bringing a significant portion, probably at least half as again, added each year as a rough sort of estimate of how much we build.
So is your plan to take over an entire expo eventually?
Yeah, why not? Let's build the whole hall. But we've got lots of ideas, so we're going to build lots of humour into it. We're going to have the various Blacktron men being captured and put into prison by cannibals, and we've got scary dinosaur-like monsters coming out of caves after them, and so we're going to have lots of fun things. We even have plans to build a briefing room that's going to use one of the Lego trading cards of the fly monster, and we thought we'd use the fly monster as one of the indigenous creatures to this planet. And build up all the kind of hints at what's going on. And one of our funny things that we've done is actually the crash scene,
which is behind us, isn't it?
So an old space model, which is a genuine space model from the classic era, because Blacktron sort of was the death knell of classic space, so we kind of wanted to represent that they crashed in this planet and they're just about to be discovered, but it's the opposite end to the rest of the model that you've just seen, so it doesn't join to it just yet.
Although you can see the same vegetation.
The vegetation was inspired by some of the coral design ideas I've done over the years, and coral being such a alien-like substance. One of the most obviously coral one is the very large yellow one at the back, which has lots of sort of tentacle type structures, which was originally designed as a piece of coral. But it was really nice to have fun with the colours, because a lot of what I do, I have to build very accurate historical colours for real landscapes. So to actually let loose and use some of these bizarre colours that LEGO have developed over the years has been really good fun.
No, absolutely. And it just like screams alien, doesn't it?
But that's what we're hoping for. And so obviously Blacktron being a very dark colour, we were both very keen to do things that generate a lot of colour. And this, again, actually my father was quite heavily involved with, and he said he didn't do a lot of the designing, but he started work on the trenchway and actually developed the ditch that the whole thing is buried into. And he was still getting used to the idea of the landscape stepping up and down by one plate at a time. So you can actually see his improvement over the years as well, from this to that wonderful crevice in the rock face that he's done.
That's the thing, the more we do, the more we progress, the more we learn.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I
and
really
it's good
like
fun too.
The use of flippers for your plan.
Yeah, I like that. It's definitely Simon's idea.
Yeah, that was because I've got loads of them in all sorts of weird colours, and I'm like, how am I ever going to use these? So when you go alien plant life, you can really go to town on it.
So this crash happened quite a long time ago, obviously.
Yeah.
Because
that's the idea. the funny thing was, we wanted obviously a copy of the ship, but we didn't really want one that was in good condition. We actually wanted one of the older ones.
Yeah.
And we had a look at the various things, and my father sourced two, because I, as a child, was given a choice between two things and didn't choose that spaceship and regretted it ever since. So we actually got two, and we were thinking we could swap all of the old bits that were rubbish onto one model and put all the new ones on the other one, so we'd have a nice model. And my dad showed me the new model, and it was like, "Oh, that looks really good." And he went, "Yeah, that's the problem. This is the one that's supposed to look bad." And they turned up in really good condition. But eventually we found some really discoloured torsos and cracked pieces and stuff that just helped it look like it's been there a long time. And obviously we've got the Blacktron ships there, just about to discover it for the first time.
Well, there's a lot of imagination in here, especially, like you said, in the plant life.
Well, that's very kind of you, but as the inspiration really is the real world, especially coral.
Yes.
But there are some incredible plants that you can just copy, and sometimes normal plants like trees, which we just change the colours and they suddenly look so much more alien.
Yeah, just like these, because these are
Just like
simple,
those,
normal.
you swap those out for brown and green, and you've got a normal tree.
Yeah, it doesn't take much. What about these ones? What are these?
Those are brushes from cleaning. The road sweepers and the car cleaning things. It was actually my father's idea to use those.
That's my claim to fame. That's
But brilliantly, they've actually come out with a green one in one of the mixels. So if you want to, you can actually do it in real world landscapes now as well. And they make quite interesting hedgerows.
Well, that's really exciting. I don't know if I should say I'm looking forward to seeing even more, because that means even more work for you guys.
But we can show you the last thing with the aliens, so you can see the model that my father mentioned, which is what we based the Blacktron mech suits on.
With Ripley inside.
This one's a lot more intricate. We haven't worked on the wiring on the back yet, but this one actually has all the correct wiring on the back for it as well, just to give it more sense of drama and life.
All you need is an alien queen really on the other side.
Yes, you're not the first person that's said that, and I'm sure one day I will actually do one. There's always more ideas than you can keep up with.
That's true. But it's great. It's also great to see a family working together to create something quite monumental.
That was actually what got the Blacktron thing going. My father wanted to spend some time with me, and obviously this is what I love.
Yeah.
But I think he's come to enjoy it a lot more than he ever thought he would.
Absolutely.
I know it's not finished, but it looks pretty impressive. So whatever you do next will be even more, I guess.
Thank you.
So I hope to get a chance to see it. Thank you.